Binnenkort in Utrecht, Beatrix Theater, Jersey Boys. Nou, daar ben ik heel benieuwd naar. Een van mijn favoriete shows is dat. We zetten onze reeks zomerse achtergrondreportages over Jersey Boys voort. En zijn dus weer terug in Londen, in de wijk Soho. Achter mij de stage door van het Prince Edward Theatre, waar Jersey Boys al 2 jaar draait. Wij gaan spreken met de Britse Frankie Valli.
Hi, I'm Scott Monello and I play Frankie Valli in the London cast of Jersey Boys, and you're watching Musicalworld.tv.
To what we got.
All these people who I watch walking through the streets here, do they have a recollection of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons?
I think they know the name, Frankie Valli. I don't think they could relate, I don't think they could name many of his songs, but they know the songs without realising. I think if you sang the songs, they'd sing along with them, because there's been so many covers as well by different artists. And like Can't Take My Eyes Off You was covered by Andy Williams, and Bye Bye Baby was the Bay City Rollers. Yes. So there's been lots of covers that people know, but yeah, I think it's before my time. Yes. You know, I wasn't really that clued up about Frankie Valli and the Seasons, but I knew of them, I knew the songs, and it grew on me very, very quickly.
What kind of role did it play in British music, except for the covers by Bay City Rollers?
Yeah, it wasn't as big here. It took longer for them to get big here, but eventually they did. Mm-hmm. And when they took off, it really took off. Because even like my aunties and my mum, they know Frankie Valli very, very well. Yes. And so it did take off here.
You say you're gonna go and call it quits, gonna chuck it all and break our love to bits.
What kind of audience do you
no, you're right.
haul in here?
Most of them do have grey hair, I'll be honest with you. But I think it started off more that way because it attracted people that knew the Seasons, the Four Seasons. So it was a lot of grey oldies and, you know, and their husbands that they've dragged along. But I think as time's gone by, word of mouth has kind of helped to, and TV advertising, and you know, it's eventually made younger people come in. So it's now you get quite a wide range of people.
I wish you'd never said breaking up.
What can a younger segment of the market get from this musical?
I think they can just learn a lot about the Seasons and the songs that they didn't know before. They can learn a lot of new songs, but yeah, they can just get, I mean, a good night out, you know, because they can sing along with the songs and they can learn how the songs came to be so big, because it's a real journey from the Four Seasons being, you know, 4 blue collar guys that were just started out as mobsters, you know, being in organised crime and being in and out of prison constantly to becoming one of the biggest bands in America. Yes. So there's a lot of story to learn.
It is possible to save your voice even though you are singing Frankie Valli for more than a year.
Yeah.
Give an example how to save that voice.
How to save that voice is to not speak.
To not speak?
During the show, when you're not on stage. Oh. So if we come into work, there's certain times where it's called Frankie's vocal rest. And there's points where if we're not meant to speak, we shouldn't speak. Like in the interval, or when we're not on stage, the few times we're not on stage. Or there's certain songs where we get a bit of a rest as well, and there's points where it's kind of written into the story that certain characters give us a glass of water just to keep us hydrated.
Oh, really?
So yeah, there's just like a hospital scene. I won't tell you what happens, just if no one's seen it. But where, you know, a priest hands over Frankie a glass of water, but you wouldn't think anything of it. But the reason it's there is to give Frankie some, you know, some fluids to.
You really need the water.
You do need the water because yeah, Frankie doesn't leave the stage very often, especially during Act 2.
Well, why now?
You were standing face to face with the producers, Dodger Theatricals.
Yes.
So you can reveal to us what auditioners are going to see.
They'll see a big long table with lots and lots of people sat behind it with pads of paper and a pencil. But at the same time, it's scary, but they're a great team to audition for. Everyone's very, very friendly. Yeah. And they give you lots of help and advice to kind of, you know, bring out what they want from you. Yes. So you're not on your own.
No. And Do you get to pick your own song, or
You do in the very first audition. They tell you to, depending who you're being seen for, but if you're being seen for Frankie, you should pick something kind of rocky with showing the range. So something very high to very low.
Yes.
And yeah, it's your own song to start with, and then if you get recalled back, you have to sing the songs they send you. So, which is normally Sherry, Moody's Mood, which is a very kind of falsetto-driven song in the show, and Can't Take My Eyes Off You, the big one.
Yes,
that's the most important.
Yes,
Yeah.
The character Frankie Valli is much complicated, of course. So, what kind of scene did you have to?
There's a real variety because Frankie starts off in the show being 14 years old and then ends up being 75-ish, or kind of how old Frankie is now, which is about 75, 76. So the first scene you do is there's a pizza scene, we call it the pizza scene, in the show, where Frankie meets his first wife.
Valli, Delgado.
Valli with
pizza.
an I. That's the one. You've seen the show too many times. Are you auditioning?
No.
No, you should.
As Bob Crew, I'm afraid. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're not camp enough for that. So yeah, we do that scene, the pizza scene, and then later on we do some of the argumentative scenes, again with Mary, to kind of show the darker side of Frankie when his marriage starts to break up and when, you know, the bad things start to happen in his life. So it's a real contrast from playing 14 to, you know, 30s, 40s, 60s.
Yeah.
It seems so wrong, but now it seems so right. Sweet surrender, what a night. I felt a rush.
Was it a tougher audition process than your former adventures?
The whole job's been a tougher adventure. Yeah, because formerly I began life as a dancer, really, kind of dancer stroke singer, doing things like We Will Rock You and Joseph. In terms of auditioning, I've never had so many auditions before, and I think partly it was to do with the fact that because I was so tall, they liked me, but they knew something wasn't quite right. So I got seen, but then I kind of got left for a bit. So I think they were trying to maybe find someone a bit smaller, but eventually they got back to me, and I almost started auditioning from scratch again. So I think which is why I had so many auditions. But fortunately, because I did it that way, the producers had gone back to the States, which is why I got flown back to see them, which no one else got to do. So it actually worked out very well. I got a free holiday out of it.
Frankie Valli's shortness is relevant to his character.
Yeah.
In between his mob friends.
It is.
How do you compensate for that? Choose cast that is even taller than you?
Well, I think this time around they did, yeah. But it's a shame because the other guys that play Frankie, because there's a few of us that alternate, it makes them look very small. So they're literally looking up like this. But yeah, just little things like, you know, slouching a little bit and you know, trying to look up a little bit with your neck and just things to hint of your height.
I felt a rush like a rolling ball.
How long have you been playing the part now?
2 years.
2 years.
Singing my body under what a night. Oh, what a night.
Are you still enjoying this part?
Yeah, absolutely. I've just re-signed for another year, so I'm here for a third year. So
Because, okay, there's always the 1 year mark.
yeah, and the 2.
But now, after 2,
Yeah.
what is it? What is so special about this part or this show?
It's just, for me, it's not. I love it because it's not typical musical theatre. It's not a jukebox musical. It's just got such a great story. So it kind of feels like it's more of a play with songs than a musical. And it kind of, you know, just singing song after song after song can get boring. But when there's so much around that and the story builds so well, and there's such a good script and the cast are so great, it's just, there's a lot of reasons to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the best roles a male can get. You know. So I think I'd be silly to leave it, you know, just yet.
But maybe you are harming your voice without knowing.
Maybe adjusting my voice. Luckily, I'm not harming it just yet. But I think it does change with the part. I think my range has got higher, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
But yeah, I think I do need to try at some point to get back to where I was before. But I'll give it another year. 1 more year.
Oh, what a night. Oh, what a night.